Welcome to another CHRO Conversation, hosted by the Center for Executive Succession at the Darla School of Business. I'm your host, Anthony Nyberg, and today we are speaking with Dave Loeser, Senior Vice President and CHRO for Unisys, the global information technology company. In his role, Dave is responsible for overseeing the strategic HR activities involving the nearly 20,000 employees worldwide. Hey, Dave, thank you very much for joining us today. It's always a great treat to have one of our truly sensational alum come back and join us.
Too nice of you.
Yes. Can you tell us a little bit about what some of the strategic objectives are of Unisys and some of the challenges that occur in trying to achieve those objectives?
Anthony, they're probably not unlike most companies. We're in the technology business, and it's massive change. And, I saw a study that shows the impact of HR becoming more and more important. However, it has also outlined the opportunity. HR has become more budget-centric, and they're becoming a bit more business savvy. But they're still missing some of the big trends that are coming up. How to manage the gig worker, how to manage people that are working virtual. These are challenges we have. We have 21,000 people, and we have over 50% of them that work virtual. And it's how do you lead folks in a virtual environment? How do you help people stay engaged in a virtual environment? So as a business shifts, we've got to communicate better and use technology tools and leadership to do it. So I think those are a couple of our biggest challenges.
And how does HR help overcome those challenges?
Well, oddly enough, I taught the strategy class here today. And HR has to be very ingrained in the strategy. Once you know what the vision is, you have to figure out how you get people deployed. And then you have to figure out, I say, it's time that we start lighting fires inside people as opposed to lighting fires underneath people. People need to know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and what's in it for them. So getting that alignment's becoming more important all of the time. And I think it's really a time now where HR, if I could come back again, I'd come back every bit the way that I started as an HR professional.
So what are some of those differences that you see that make it so exciting to be in HR now?
Well, it was administrative, I think, when I got into the function. And I did get into the labor piece, which back a few decades ago was a very difficult part of human resources. Now, that's, labor unions are small pieces of it. It's how do you deploy and get people engaged. And the competencies of the function from administrative now are, I think, more exciting. One, you have to be a functional expert. Just coming back to the university here and seeing this program that I think gets worldwide recognition. It's really, I couldn't graduate from the program now. It's terrific. And the functional base that people are coming out of, because I hire from our program, is tremendous. They know the rules of the road of the function. The next higher level is to be a business partner. And people confuse that with schmoozing with the business. You have to have business savvy. You have to know more than your function. And here in the program, people are coming out with some financial acumen. Never was designed that way when I took a job as a human resource professional. And the top pinnacle piece is change management. And that's where HR is still struggling a little bit, and that's influencing. And then I've added to that competency being an employee advocate. You can see the trends. I've always said he or she who owns the people win. And that comes from being very straightforward, sharing information with people, being very candid, and all of the ethical considerations that are important in your personal life and in your professional life.
So it's really moved from this administrative role that you talked about to something that's really driving the business and helping light that fire inside people? Is that?
Yes, and what I would tell you is when I was out in it, it was more of an intangible function. You hired somebody and you hoped that they did well. Now, with some of the new, artificial intelligence, applied analytics, there's more ways to take these intangibles and make them concrete. so you can make better decisions and influence the business. So I would tell you the I've worked for a number of companies, and I've been fortunate that I've always been a key kind of a player on the senior team and a key player to our CEO and our board, because people are the differentiating factor.
So you have, as you mentioned, you have worked in a number of companies in some really different industries. Can you describe a little bit about what the different challenges are, particularly from an HR perspective, across these different industries, and or what might be the same across?
I would say that the first one is really performance. And I always say, are you making your number, or are you reporting your number? Are you, reporting on the business? Are you leading the business? So it's results orientation in a quantifiable way is changing, and HR's job is to make sure that we do get more revenue per person, that we understand how we deploy people in a meaningful way. It involves the gamut of when you hire them, to how you do management development, train them, how you succession plan them, how you provide leadership training and development, and on and on and on. So all of that is becoming hugely critical in today's business environment. And I've never seen a more competitive environment for quality people now. So making sure you get that equation right is becoming hugely important.
So one of the things you mentioned about being really one of the leaders in the organizations and throughout where you've been, I think looking back, for many years HR was begging for a seat at the table. And I think you were one of the very early HR leaders who actually did have a seat at the table.
Well, you're coming out of a program like the University of South Carolina's Masters of Human Resources program. You're coming out prepared to have a seat at the table. It might be a seat in Salt Lake City at the call center. It might be a seat at the regional office. Those seats weren't available when I got out of school. You were kind of more administrative. So and the ability to influence decisions is huge. And by the way, there are more people going on boards that have human resource backgrounds, that have professional backgrounds in human resources, and there are more people going to line jobs. I've been fortunate on both. As you know, I was a line manager at Pepsi, and that really helped differentiate what I've always had a passion for of HR. They wanted me to stay on the line side, but my chosen field is HR, because you can make a bigger difference in this function across the business than you can by being a general manager of one or two businesses.
And as a member of the leadership team, on that executive leadership team, is there a difference in the role that the chief human resource officer has, or something that you bring differently than, say, the chief financial officer?
I'd say it's more complex than ever. I think sometimes that, we all work for somebody. I feel like in my job I work for so many different people. So, one, there's a role on the board in the nom and governance committees in terms of making sure we have proper governance with the board of directors, how we choose them, how that governance is applied and the oversight to the company. There's the compensation committee, how people are recognized and rewarded. Is it aligned with the behaviors that we want in the company? Of course, I work with the CEO. I never say for, because when you tell the CEOs you work for them, that has some different kind of connotation. And I really do work with the CEO for them to be successful and for the senior team. It's a priority of mine. I call the senior team my first team. And they need to have unwavering trust and confidence in the HR executive. There's no punches, you can't lighten anything, you have to call it straight as it is. And if I would have known some of these things when I got out of school, I could have probably even impacted more. Less caught up in the politics, more candor. I have a favorite saying that feedback is a gift. And I have relished that, and that's how I've been fortunate enough to get ahead. And I believe in giving people straight talk and being very candid. And oddly enough, it's very well respected.
One of the things I've often heard you talk about is this, the real need and passion for making money. And that's not often something we associate with HR. Can you share with us a little bit about what you mean by that?
Well, and Anthony, you know this, the faculty here, I know that they talk behind my back, because I often say that leadership is inherent. And I think you can teach leadership and you can improve somebody, but somebody that has some natural leadership skills, you provide that same teaching and they can take off. I now feel the same way about making money. I believe that there are people that know how to make money. And there's other people that are okay and like to make money, and you can teach them how to make money, but there are people that have a passionate and a normal knack for it. I was brought up over the dinner table, so I always say I have 70 years of HR experience. My dad was an HR executive in a $90 million company, an HR personnel manager, became the senior vice president of HR and then the president of the company, of a company called Rockwell. And so I grew up with him on the importance. He was very personable, is a very personable at 90, a very personable guy that valued people. And he taught me, if you want to have a great career, help other people have a great career, and you'll never have to worry about it. And if you want to make some money, help other people make money, and you'll never have to worry about it. But I learned from an early age that business starts with marketing and sales. It starts with making a dollar. Because if you're not making money, it's tough to create an organization. It's really tough to do the kinds of things I like to do, to help people flourish, to give them a chance to develop to their full potential. I say these days that there's 3 reasons that you should work for a company. 1, am I growing and developing? 2, am I appreciated? And if you're growing and developing and appreciated, I think it's a mistake for young people to make a change. Unless the third factor doesn't work, and I don't share that with many, so I'll share it with you. The third factor is work for a company that has a low jerk factor. We've all worked for jerks, and they're out now. Nobody is interested in doing that. So I tell my children, and they're very important to me, as long as you're growing and developing and appreciated and have good leadership, why would you make a change if a company's making that kind of a contribution to you?
Thank you very much for joining us here today. It's been a great treat and honor to have you back on campus, as it always is.
I have to tell you in closing, I'm on a strat call today out of the university with my first team, with the leadership of the company. And I started this morning by telling them how refreshing it is. And I mean this. Last night we had a ceremony with the Masters of Human Resource students that was unbelievably cool. Every year, and I'm going to tell you, I cut across to the universities, that the quality of the students here, the internships that are provided to all of them, and the frenzy and fight for students to come into the companies is like nothing I've ever seen. And it's refreshing. Even at the dinner, I learned about a better way to collaborate through Audrey with some new software out there for virtual people. And I basically mentioned to the team that just getting away in this environment that's very thoughtful and this really cool new business school, I wish my office was this nice, is refreshing. So thank you for having me.
We're eager to have you come back as often as you will. Thank you. You just listened to another CHRO conversation. Today, Dave Loeser of Unisys and one of the proud alumni of the University of South Carolina shared his perspectives about how to create an effective HR function and its importance in driving business success. Dave reminded us that HR is critical to ensuring that the right talent is in the right place at the right time and appropriately motivated. On behalf of all of us who are associated with the Masters of Human Resource program and the Center for Executive Succession here at the University of South Carolina, thank you for joining us.